Hello there! Welcome to a review of the 2007 DS Classic by Level 5, Professor Layton and the Curious Village. Let's face it, we usually play video games to unwind, blow shit up, and do the awesome things that we couldn't do in real life. You play as these big, muscular guys, solving their problems by shoving their fists into it, and that's why a game like Professor Layton really stands out. It's a game where you play as a middle-aged university professor who solves puzzles, and that's all. At first, I stayed far away from this series, as I didn't believe you can base an entire game around solving puzzles and still make it more interesting than watching grass grow. But to my surprise, this game can make a believer out of you. Let's go over the premise of the game. You play as Professor Layton, a suave and polite university professor of archaeology who travels with his son? Nephew? Sex slave? I don't know. They explain later. Luke Triton, his apprentice. The dynamic duo are summoned to the wealthy Lady Reinhold's house to solve an inheritance dispute and to search for a treasure known as the Golden Apple in a mysterious and isolated village. Here, the mysteries keep piling up, and it's up to you and Boy Wonder to figure it all out. You travel around the village in a point-and-click adventure with graphic novel elements as you find puzzles, investigate, and play through a rather light-hearted mystery story. As I said, this is a game all about solving puzzles, as you'll encounter logic games, sliding puzzles, those bullshit visual puzzles, and many more. The sheer variety and quality of these puzzles is pretty awesome, as there was clearly a lot of effort put into the meat of this game. The DS functions in particular were impressive, as the game proves that the DS stylus is not utter garbage. I find the way they implemented the puzzles was also pretty interesting, as many of them are story driven, but a lot of the times I feel like I'm just going around doing people's goddamn homework. I also noticed that the professor always seems to suggest solving puzzles at the stupidest of times, usually when there's imminent danger.
Professor, the orphanage is on fire! The corpses are starting to pile up! We need to alert emergency services immediately!
Ah, Luke, that reminds me of a puzzle I once heard. It was clearly difficult to make a marketable game based around just solving puzzles in today's gun-happy sugar crowd. But the game nails it because of two things. Firstly, the game offers many options to help the player avoid making their DS resemble Lindsay Lohan's career. The game rarely forces you to solve puzzles, as you can easily leave a difficult puzzle and come back to it when you're not ready to punch a puppy. However, you do have to solve a certain amount of puzzles to progress, so you can't keep procrastinating either. The game also provides the player with a limited amount of hint coins, which you can use to crack really tough puzzles. But don't be like me and hoard all of your hint coins because, despite the cartoony graphics and subject material, this definitely isn't a kid's game, as these puzzles will go into full-out ball-busting mode later on. Seriously, if you aren't a critical thinker or at least decent at solving puzzles, you need to play something, anything else. Well, almost anything. Professor Layton and the Curious Village is not for the weak-minded. You have to be patient in order to get through this game. I'm a university student myself, and I still had a pretty rough time. Despite how great and varied the puzzles are, this leads me to one big problem I had with the puzzles / the game itself. This game is a douchebag that doesn't want you to win. I'd say that 80% of the puzzles flat out try to trick you, as they make it seem like there's an obvious answer, but there definitely isn't. The answer is rarely straightforward, as it just seems like the game is spiteful towards you and loves to make you feel like an idiot. In games like 999 or Phoenix Wright, you feel like the game actually wants you to figure this out, and it never reaches pretentiousness. But I can't help but feel that Professor Layton is laughing at me behind my back when I keep getting the wrong answer. The game gives you unlimited tries to solve a puzzle, with the only deductions being from your score and your dignity. I just felt that too many times the puzzles came down to outright guess fests. But that really should be expected with a game based around brain teasers. Overall, the puzzles were done well, but they will take a shot at your pride and patience, so be aware of that. The second thing that makes this game work is the adventure style. If someone just wanted to make a game about solving puzzles, they could easily just throw 100 of them on a cartridge and call it a day. However, Professor Layton and the Curious Village wraps the puzzles into an interesting and winding narrative, and this idea really made the game work for me. However, the story is interesting to watch. I say watch because, like some other games I've mentioned, the game doesn't let the player put the pieces together and figure out the mystery. They just kind of reveal it all at the end. Come on, this is a game, not a movie. Layton, let me solve the puzzle, you limey bastard. Aside from over 100 puzzles, there are also these little minigames that you can play, and various secrets to unlock. But unless you're on the cast of Jersey Shore, I'd be surprised if this game takes you more than 15 hours to beat. The graphic style of the game is one of my favorite things about it. The game is just drenched from head to toe in style, as I love the atmosphere, the character designs, and the settings. I loved how it had a classic mystery setup and this old-timey Sherlock Holmes feel. However, I always thought one thing about the graphics were weird, and that's how Luke has whites in his eyes, but the professor only has black dots for eyes. It's just unsettling. The game also comes with only a few well-implemented and animated cutscenes, and some rather impressive voice acting, both of which added another dimension to the game, but I would have liked to see a bit more of it. The music also mirrored the style of the game, as it was atmospheric, mysterious, and pretty catchy. Professor Layton's theme in particular is one of the best video game songs from recent memory. It's freaking awesome. Overall, Professor Layton and the Curious Village is a game that works, despite all the hurdles it had to overcome. The game kicked off a successful series, and the developers learned from mistakes and made each subsequent Layton game better and better. I'd recommend this game to older gamers who are looking for something a bit different from the crowd and want to give their brains a good workout. But this does come with a warning that this game is only for people who are patient and not overly proud while being easily frustrated. You have been warned. Thanks for watching.